We live. Oh shit. Go ahead.
Welcome everybody to Big Fat Dubs Bracketology Fight Night. Today we got a new one for you today. Kind of going with the same thing we've done. We'll obviously do more brackets, different kinds of brackets later. But we're doing best live action superhero movie, Marvel and DC. Not doing all the independent superhero ones, just the main media one, which would be Marvel and DC. Not just MCU and DCU, but we are also tapping into the non cinematic universes as well. So we're gonna have such movies as the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, the Fantastic Four, X-Men universe. We're gonna also have some of the original DC movies like the Christopher Reeve Superman and such more as that. So same things apply. Kelly and I are gonna give our opinion as we go through the list, and we're gonna see which one's our favorite superhero. If we end up being split down the middle of the choices, I have a wheel on my phone. We will be doing a spin the wheel to see whose pick will go through. As always, we're gonna explain our reasoning, not go into full detail if we don't need to, but kind of give a good argument of why we pick certain movies. So, as it, we're just gonna go down the first round and move our way to refining. If you have not seen our other bracketology videos, go check them out. We did one on best 90s cartoon with the winner being the X-Men, the animated series, and best hero / villain, which ultimately came to Spider-Man. So, without further ado, we'll get started. Starting with the MCU side, we're going to go with the number one seeded Captain America Civil War versus Thor 1. Battle of the MCU movies. I'll go ahead and start and pick Captain America Civil War. It was an amazing movie, third movie of the Captain America series, but it really should have been Avengers like 3 because of all the characters like that. But the story was so good. You were so torn about the two sides. Then you had the great battle in the airport with all the heroes, as well as you had the final battle with Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Iron Man. Plus, it was the first movie to introduce both Black Panther and Spider-Man. It's miles ahead. Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah, I mean, as much as some of us enjoyed Thor, but I'm sorry, Civil War with everybody in there, with all the emotions that ran hot in that movie between like Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark and Chris Evans, Captain America. You know, the two, having opposite opinions and how things should go, and especially when it came to people with powers and stuff, and just seeing that actually finally implode between the two is something we don't usually see. Is the two superheroes going at it because they just don't agree.
Yeah. So Civil War, we'll move on. W. All right, moving on. We have Tom Holland's first Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man: Homecoming, versus Avengers: Age of Ultron. I'm gonna go Age of Ultron because I do like Spider-Man: Homecoming, but it's not the best Spider-Man movie out there. There's many more that I think deserve it, everything like that. Age of Ultron was a great sequel to the Avengers movie. It introduced a wonderful character in Ultron. And I know there's a lot of controversy. It's like, oh, the movie was very boring and everything like that. Actually, was not. It's actually a very good story. And it kind of also shows a deeper side of the Avengers and how, like, they're kind of more split, which kind of led to Civil War, with Iron Man wanting to build artificial intelligence and robots to kind of save the world so they didn't have to, where the rest of the Avengers kind of felt like it was always their duty to do it. With Spider-Man: Homecoming, I love the movie. Obviously, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. It was a great story. Michael Keaton as Vulture was such an amazing job, and Tom Holland has done an amazing job as Spider-Man. However, I still got to pick the Age of Ultron. It was a better overall movie, which helped set up future projects. So Age of Ultron's got my pick.
I will be going with Age of Ultron as well, mostly because Spider-Man: Homecoming, yes, great introduction to Spider as Peter Parker, Tom Holland, Spider-Man, but unfortunately, I think we needed to wait a little bit longer for him for his movie. to come out. Him being a little bit older is actually more like, I mean, I'm more used to a little bit older Peter Parker, where he's actually like going to college and stuff. So seeing him still like in high school, it's kind of still like, and then this whole rush, being that young kid thing, I can help, if he wants to feel important and all that stuff. It was just kind of a turn off for me a bit. But Age of Ultron, like you said, great sequel to Avengers. Seeing how, even though they didn't include like Hank Pym in this one, which I still think they should have for the creation of Ultron, but it was still great sequel. James Spader as Ultron himself, great, great guy to pick as a voice. Also bringing in Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch that we got to see in here as well. Uh, Great action pack. Get to see a little romance between Natasha and Hulk. So, yeah.
I could have lived without that.
We could have actually lived with all that, but I'm actually not surprised that we started something. But it was just surprising that you picked those two.
Yeah, and with Spider-Man 2, it's one of those things like Kelly said that he wasn't a big fan of like the young Spider-Man, and that's more so like if you read the comics and everything like that, you're like, okay, high school Peter Parker. But then again, like we went through so many Spider-Man comics and heroes where we've always seen him in college, so yeah, it's a little weird to put him back in high school, and it's definitely a different take and everything like that. So
exactly.
And just a clarification for everyone. Obviously, you can tell by all these guys that we don't have every superhero movie on here. Obviously, we're missing the other two Spider-Man movies from the Tom Holland series. I don't know if they're further down or whatnot. As you can see, there's not every superhero movie. This was not our creation. We have found this bracket and we're going to do it, everything like that. Obviously, if Endgame, No Way Home were in this bracket, that's a different ballgame. And then just a clarification, when we get to Justice League on the other side, as you guys can see on the screen, we are going to be talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
Not the Joss Whedon one, because
that don't exist.
That doesn't exist. Moving on, we're going to go to the 6-12 seed. We're going to go to Battle of the First, kind of what we already saw from Civil War. We have Iron Man 1 versus Captain America First Avenger. I really love Captain America First Avenger. I think it's a great story and a great movie. It's a little slow in pacing because of the timeline. It's in World War II and everything like that. However, the edge for me goes to Iron Man because it was the movie that set up the MCU. And we wouldn't have the MCU without Iron Man. I think the movie itself was paced really well. Great introduction to a hero that no one really ever knew about unless you were a diehard comic book fan. So Iron Man, great movie, great FX, great action, great overall by Robert Downey Jr. introducing him as Iron Man. So I got to give it to the father of the MCU, and that is Iron Man.
Yeah, I'm going to be going with Iron Man as well. Robert Downey Jr., revitalizing his career after all the stuff he's gone through, picked to do this role of Tony Stark, and he nailed it right out of the first movie, in my opinion. I didn't know much about Iron Man back then, but this was a great introduction I felt for him. Like you said, I think Captain America: The First Avenger probably should have actually started the whole series, but they decided to go a different direction with that. I liked Captain America: The First Avenger too. Got to see his backstory about how he takes the super soldier serum and all that stuff. Learning how Steve Rogers actually was just a puny little guy. That nobody really gave him a chance to, but he kept pushing, he kept fighting, he kept saying he could keep going. One line, I can keep doing this all day, and finally got to be part of something big.
Yeah.
But yeah, Iron Man, just phenomenal masterpiece.
All right, Iron Man moves on. Next one, we have the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie versus Iron Man 3. I'm going to take Guardians of the Galaxy because with the Iron Man movies, they went really good crap to an improvement. But Guardians of the Galaxy, again, like Iron Man, was a story of a group of heroes that weren't very known to non-heavy comic book readers. So for me, it was a great intro to a group that I ultimately just really love to watch. And the casting is very well done with Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel as Groot, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, Zoe Saldana. You also have Karen Gillan as Nebula. You have
Michael Rooker,
Michael Rooker as
Hondu,
Hondu or Yondu, excuse me, not
Yondu.
Hondu.
Yeah, not Hondu.
But a
Sorry.
great story. It was very fun. You know, it's very entertaining. Soundtrack's amazing. But great action, great visual too. Kind of leading into the MCU in space and everything like that. And very heartfelt moments in it. Iron Man 3, I think they did a little too much in there. And what killed it was they failed on the villain with the Mandarin. They teased it really well with Ben Kingsley's character, but ultimately that was a tease in the movie. To the real Mandarin was Aldrich Killian, and it wasn't the same. I was hoping for the true Mandarin and everything like that. Kind of a very big letdown. So a lot of those reasons, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 moves on for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, like Iron Man 3, yeah, didn't really capture me as well as the first one did. Just like you said, looking forward to this Mandarin character to see what he's about. I've never heard of him before. Like, who is this guy? And then, yeah, we get this other guy that literally all he does is he superheat stuff.
Yep.
I mean, I was like that. Yeah, it's just not all that great. Guardians of the Galaxy will be my pick as well because it introduced me to a group, of pretty much castaways that I didn't know anything about, and they were able to all come together as a group and work together to take on the big evil, the real threat of Rowan and take him out. But yeah, it was just great comedy, great soundtrack, visual effects movie, and like Ryan said, great cast. And so yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. Moving on.
I just put GOT.
Yep, I'm gonna abbreviate it.
Yeah. All right. Next one we have the 6 versus 11 seed. We have Black Panther versus Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm gonna go Black Panther because again, it was a great movie. First movie, full movie of the Black Panther character. We got to see Wakanda and the technology there. We're introduced to a lot of good characters like Shuri, M'Baku. We got to see Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, obviously the sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Introduced characters like Ego the Planet, played by Kurt Russell. I almost said Russell Crowe, but it's Kurt Russell. And a lot of good stories. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was a step down from Guardians of the Galaxy 1, but I'm also going to pick Black Panther because the story-wise, the visual effects, the everything about it was just really well done. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. You were so perfect as this role and really brought so much to this character. As you see right now, Kelly wrote it down. He's also going Black Panther.
I'm just saving us a little time here because yeah, pretty much Ryan nailed it. The visual, the story. Chadwick Boseman did amazing job. I said rest in peace because I was looking forward to the next movie so much with him. He really captured me as an actor. I mean, I've enjoyed a couple of his other movies. He's done like 42, and I can't remember the other one, big one he did that I enjoyed. But anyway, just yeah, I really liked how Black Panther, introduced him to that, did some backstory of the Black Panther. What do you call
Mantle?
Mantle, and then showing pretty much like the sins of the father kind of deal and what happened. And the whole Wakanda city and their technology just amazing as well. So yeah.
I'll say this about Black Panther 2. Obviously the movie was made after the death of Chadwick Boseman, but the way they actually did a very phenomenal job with that sequel. A perfect send off for Chadwick Boseman with a lot of honoring of him, because they didn't just feel like in the MCU world, in the actual movies that Wakanda lost their king and everyone lost their Black Panther, but the MCU lost a great friend and a great actor and someone who they truly cherished, and it was a perfect send off with a lot of great messages and everything like that. So if you've not seen it, it is coming out on Disney Plus soon. I recommend anyone trying to go watch it. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. Now we're gonna move on to the 3-14 seeding matchup. We have Captain America: The Winter Soldier versus Doctor Strange 1. Easy pick for me. It's Captain America: Winter Soldier. I think the pacing of Doctor Strange was very slow, and it was a good movie and everything like that. But there was so one thing I love about Captain America: Winter Soldier is that you forgot at times it was a superhero movie. It was very much like a spy movie, but introduced to Winter Soldier and introduced the conflicts that Captain America goes through, having to fight his best friend Bucky Barnes, and the whole fight at the end with them in Shield and on the helicarriers. Great, great fight scenes, especially at the very end where it kind of felt very heartfelt when Cap was refusing to fight Bucky and was going to let him kill him because that was kind of their bond. It was kind of that bond and promise they made with each other that they'll always be with each other till the end of the line, no matter what the mission is, and that kind of helped trigger Bucky to kind of get back to normal. So it's a wonderful movie. Winter Soldier takes it for me.
I'm actually gonna be opposite. It's gonna be Doctor Strange for me. I've actually enjoyed Doctor Strange a lot. I finally get to see a little bit more of his backstory of how he came to be this way. Through the accident that explains now why. Yeah, I knew he was a doctor, but I didn't know he was like a neuroscientist. And the crash actually had crippled his fingers to where he couldn't perform because he was shaking too much. And then learning that he was trying to do anything he could in order to get back to being that high quality doctor, that top ranked doctor. And he went to the point to where he literally went to find this mystic arts teacher to help teach him how to control, after he found out this one guy who had I think he was paralyzed, if I remember correctly. Somehow he healed, but he shouldn't have. Visually great movie. Matt Mikkelsen in there playing a great villain. I forget his name in that one, but Dormammu there toward the end with the visual effects. And I like Benedict Cumberbatch too a lot. I enjoy him as an actor very much. So Doctor Strange is my pick. So I guess we'll have our first spin. And Winter Soldier is moving on. Not a bad pick though. I'm not going to complain about that. Both great movies.
All right, this next one is a really good matchup at the 7-10 seed. Obviously, again, we didn't pick the seedings on this because I would never put this movie at the 7 seed. It's Avengers: Infinity War versus Thor: Ragnarok. Two great movies, both the third sequels of the one Avengers saga and two the Thor saga. There is no question. I love Ragnarok, and it's a great movie. It's the best Thor movie, but Infinity War takes the cake. There is not even a question. It's the best story in it. It's got the ending of it just threw you for a loop because you think superheroes win.
Yeah.
They never do.
Yeah.
Thanos, which was the limelight of the whole movie, was mostly him. Phenomenal job by Josh Brolin. All the characters, the aftermath of everything that's happened leading up to this. It's such a beautiful movie. There's only one movie, I'll be honest with you right now. There's only one movie in the MCU that would have topped Infinity War of this list. It's not out there. So, Infinity War takes the cake.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok, great follow up to the not so successful Thor, The Dark World. Unfortunately, like you said, Avengers: Infinity War was something we were all looking forward to. That we're leading up to. Great movie introducing Thanos in there, showing us more of him, what he can do, and like you said, and this is something I have actually said about some superhero movies and some shows. It's actually nice seeing the superhero actually lose a big fight. It's actually good to see them get defeated.
Well, the great thing about this movie was that it made you want to go see Endgame because you want to see what happens afterwards. But they set up this movie of like, this is what we've led up to and everything like that. And it was a great setup movie for the last movie, Endgame, which then they came out and said, no, this is what you really set up for. But that movie wouldn't have been as successful, in my opinion, without Infinity War because it set you up for the best story to come out. So
Right.
Infinity War moves on.
Agreed.
Last matchup of the MCU, we have Avengers 1 versus Ant-Man 1. I don't know about you, but this is not even a competition.
No, I don't think it is.
I love Ant-Man movies, and I'm so excited for Ant-Man Quantumania, but it's a great movie. It's the best Ant-Man movie we've had. Obviously, Quantumania could take that throne, and we've only had 2 Ant-Man movies. But Avengers 1, again, just a beautiful movie, well done, great story, very true to the comics that they fought. Their first villain was Loki, and the bringing them all together and everything like that, there was nothing. Ant-Man stood no chance against that movie.
No, it didn't. Like you said, great. Great movie, Ant-Man, even though I wish it was more of the Hank Pym story that we would have got and we get like the Scott Lang version later. But yeah, Avengers, I'm sorry. I don't know how many times I watched that one over and over, especially after seeing it in theaters and then getting it home on Blu-ray. Amazing movie. What we've been waiting for with all the individual movies, finally bringing all the characters together.
Yeah.
And just seeing them just work together and great movie.
All right, we're going to move down to the next part of the Marvel Studios bracket now. So these are going to be more of the Fox-owned and Sony-owned. So we're going to start with the matchup. Again, I'm not even going to say there's no competition in this one. It is Spider-Man 2, the second Tobey Maguire movie, versus Fantastic Four of 2005, which that movie was starring Ian Grufford as Mr. Fantastic, Jessica Alba as Invisible Girl, Michael Chiklis as the Thing, and Chris Evans as
Human Torch.
The Human Torch. That was a great Fantastic Four me. It's one of my favorite ones. Spider-Man 2, though, is the second best Spider-Man movie to ever be made. There's no question. And they're coming off a great first movie of Spider-Man 1, but the movie itself, first of all, casting-wise, Alfred Molloy as Dr. Octopus, Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. The story was amazing. You know, Peter Parker showing a true Spider-Man story where he was fighting this battle of finding love, school, job, Aunt May, and does he actually want to be Spider-Man? And that was so beautifully done. For the longest time, it was my favorite Spider-Man movie until No Way Home came out. But you cannot beat this as a Spider-Man movie. It's the perfect Spider-Man movie. So Spider-Man 2 takes it.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 definitely. You pretty much just nailed every bit of it right there. Fantastic Four, yes. It was great having them being introduced to us, even though they had a sequel and they were supposed to be. Eventually, I think that we were supposed to have them be a part of the Avengers, or at least show up in the X-Men. One of the two. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, Spider-Man 2, great movie. Follow up to the first Spider-Man movie. And yeah, totally.
All right, we're going to the next matchup. We have Amazing Spider-Man 1 starring Andrew Garfield. It was his first Spider-Man movie versus X-Men 1, the original X-Men movie. I'm going to go X-Men on this one because I know people might think I would always go Spider-Man, but I'm going to go X-Men 1 because this kind of started for Marvel movies because people forget this actually came out before Spider-Man did. And this was a great movie. It introduced us to Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, and Ian McKellen as their respective roles and everything like that. But well done movie, such a great movie, and it takes the cake.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't much care for Andrew Garfield in this movie, in the first movie. I thought it was honestly just like too soon to even recast a Spider-Man. I still thought we should have kept rolling with Tobey Maguire, but. Yeah, X-Men. I love the X-Men. Back especially when I was a kid watching the 90s cartoon and some of the other animated series. So yeah, said Hugh Jackman, perfect Wolverine, Patrick Stewart, perfect Charles Xavier, Ian McKellen, perfect Magneto. I mean, great overall cast when that first came out.
Yep. Now we go on to a battle of the X-Men movies. We have X-Men First Class versus X-Men Apocalypse, which is the same universe as the First Class universe and everything like that. It's First Class. I think Apocalypse was a crappy movie. First Class was a great great introduction with the new characters and everything like that, and a new Charles and Magneto. Apocalypse, you wasted a great villain. You wasted a great villain on a knockoff of Ivan Ooze in Power Rangers.
Yeah. I also didn't care the way like they did the Four Horsemen, the way that they brought him in, especially bringing in like a young Storm and stuff. I'm like, no, that didn't happen at all, and they just didn't do it right. They just didn't do him right.
They failed. They failed in altogether.
I would love to see them redo Apocalypse, but do it the right way.
Exactly.
So yeah, like I said, Ivan Ooze wannabe.
Going on to the next matchup, we have X-Men Days of Futures Past versus X-Men The Last Stand. So Days of Future Past is kind of a combination story between bringing both X-Men universes together in a wonderful story. And then X-Men Last Stand was the third film of the original X-Men team. X-Men Days of Future Past get the win for me because it combined, bringing in Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, and Ian McKellen and other characters from that first universe to this new timeline with the First Class universe. We get them commenting like that. We get to see the Sentinels, which was really big. It was a big X-Men thing that we never really got a story of. Days of Future Past is also a comic series that we have gotten, and that was a wonderful comic series and everything like that. It's a great story, and they did it so well. Last Stand was one of their first attempts at the Phoenix Force. It really failed the other two movies, in my opinion. So, Days of Future Past, take it.
Yeah, I mean, at first I'm leaning toward Last Stand, but yeah, then when I get to the whole Phoenix part of the story, I didn't like the way they did that with her. I really didn't. Like you said, it was not a great third movie for that series, the way they did it.
No.
But Futures Past, I thought was actually pretty good. Like you said, we get to see younger versions of some of the X-Men, as well as some other X-Men that had come along that we don't really get to see, which was actually great as well. And then, seeing that whole pretty much cross multiverse thing go on, which was great. So, Days of Future Past, moving on.
This next movie matchup, Deadpool 1 versus Spider-Man 3. I think this is actually an easy matchup. It's Deadpool 1. It's Deadpool. Deadpool was an amazing movie. Spider-Man 3 was a kind of a letdown from the other two Spider-Man movies. It's the third installment of the Tobey Maguire series. But Deadpool 1 was the introduction for this superhero that was a revamp from the Wolverine movie, the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie. But it was so damn funny. Ryan Reynolds kills it as a character. It's the perfect rated R movie that we needed for a superhero movie. And there's no better character to do it than Deadpool, and there's nobody else that could play Deadpool better than Ryan Reynolds. Spider-Man 3, you just put too much villains in there, and you fucked up Venom.
Yeah.
So bad.
That was going to be my main reason. You fucked up Venom. He should have been so much better, and the way they had Eddie Brock portrayed was not all that great either.
No.
So, and just, it's Deadpool. I mean, I'm sorry, Ryan Reynolds, like you said, just killed it. The comedy, the action, that seals the deal for me.
All right, so Deadpool moving on. This next matchup, the 314 matchup, I think it's already set in stone. This is Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man movie versus Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man. It's a Spider-Man 1.
Thank you.
It was the introduction to the Spider-Man hero. First time we ever got him in a cinematic universe and like that. But it was done so well. Spider-Man 2 failed on multiple different levels. It's a good movie, but it failed in comparison to Spider-Man 1. The Spider-Mans, first and foremost, Andrew plays probably a very good. He does play a really good Spider-Man overall.
He plays more of the geek one, more of the geek one.
But he's more sassy, like Spider-Man's supposed to be, like sarcasm.
Yeah, the sarcastic one.
He does that very well. But again, the great thing about the first two Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire was the stories were made so perfectly. and Willem Dafoe again kills it as Green Goblin. So you have that great chemistry between those two. It was one of the first movies that you didn't really hated MJ in those movies. So Spider-Man 1, million times better than Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man moves on.
Yep, agreed.
Next matchup, I think this is an easy one as well. We have Logan versus the Wolverine. The Wolverine is the sequel of the Wolverine standalone movies, where Logan is the final movie. Logan, all the way. It's the best. It's one of the best superhero movies. It's a perfect send off. It's so emotional. You're crying at the end because of how it ends and everything like that. But to see him in a true Wolverine storyline and going out the way that Wolverine would is so well done. It was a big, and when Hugh Jackman alone was not wanting to do it because he thought Logan was so perfect, it's hard to beat that movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Logan was just a masterpiece at
It
the
was.
end there. Just getting to see a bit more of you get to see a little bit older Wolverine, kind of run down,
Yep.
trying to keep Charles alive and keep him away from people. As we've seen, he going through hard times, but trying to also keep a low profile as well. Finds out, he has pretty much a daughter made from his DNA, and ends up coming attached to her and try to keep her alive
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, great story, great job, and I'm so glad when right now I'm gonna say this, when Rod Reynolds and Hugh Jackman said that, yeah, we're not touching Logan, we're not doing a follow where all of a sudden he comes back alive. I'm so happy they're doing that, because I'm sorry, that was a great send off for that Logan.
Absolutely. Last matchup of the Marvel movies. There's obviously more Marvel movies in other ways, but of this side, we have X-Men 2, X-Men United, the second movie of the original X-Men team, versus the first Hulk movie. This is not the MCU Hulk movie. This is the first one with Eric Bana. And there's no question on this one. It's X-Men 2. The first Hulk movie was a garbage. I'm not even going to defend X-Men 2. I'm just going to say that the Hulk movie was a piece of shit movie.
Yeah. I mean, I even prefer the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton over that one.
That's a million times better than the Hulk movie. Million times better.
So yeah, moving on. All right, that wraps up that side now.
Yeah. So we're gonna go into kind of the DC bracket, starting with the DCU. Not really, because there's a few movies in there that's not part of the DCU. But we're gonna talk about the first Superman movie with Christopher Reeves, versus the Steel movie. So for people that don't know Steel, it is he is a character that he is hard to really tell. So he's based off a character in the Superman comics, John Henry Irons, who takes up the mantle as Steel in absence of Superman after Superman was killed in the fight with Doomsday. He is a former military man. I think there's multiple different iterations of him. But anyways, this movie is played by Shaquille O'Neal. He dons a steel iron suit, and he walks around with a hammer. Has built-in armor or built-in rockets and like that, so he fights criminals as Steel. But that movie was so bad. Christopher Reeve Superman takes it all the way.
Yeah, I never saw Steel, so I can't really say anything about it. I didn't know. Yeah, you said Shaquille was him playing him, so yeah, I have no idea. I've never really got the chance to watch all the Christopher Reeve Superman all the way through. I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but I'm sorry, I'm gonna go with Superman as well.
Those movies are classics. The first two Superman movies of Christopher Reeves were classics.
Yeah, agreed.
Next matchup.
I don't think it's even competition.
For this next matchup?
Yeah.
Nope. This is the Swamp Thing versus Zack Snyder's Justice League. Justice League takes it. And I'll kind of explain more later on, but I never saw Swamp Thing, and nor would I ever care. It's a character I've never cared about.
Yeah, he's an anti-hero, pretty much guy, but I'm sorry. If we're doing this Justice League is the Zack Snyder one, so it's gonna definitely take the cake here.
Exactly. We have Batman 1966 with Adam West versus Green Lantern starring Ryan Reynolds.
I've never seen any of the Adam West ones, so I can't Not meant much of that, but I've only seen Green Lantern.
I'm gonna say this though. There are other Batman movies that are a lot better. So I'm gonna go Green Lantern as one of our first upsets. Because again, I just didn't watch that 1966 Batman.
Weren't even alive then.
Nope. So next matchup we have Superman Returns starring Brandon Routh. It was the first Superman movie after the Christopher Reeves movie versus Superman 3. This one's actually easy for me. It's Superman Returns. Superman 3 was a bad movie. Superman Returns is a great movie. Brandon Routh does a very good job. However, there is a controversy scene about him picking up a continent that's made of kryptonite that is really just kind of bullshit. But it was a true Superman movie. The pacing, all that. You have a great Lex Luthor and everything like that. So, again, Superman Returns takes the cake.
I'm just gonna go with Ryan's pick because I've never seen either of them, so this is all on him.
Yep.
So we're gonna Superman Returns. I'm sorry, I've not seen them. I will do it, but at least the next one here I actually have seen.
Yeah. So the next one we have Man of Steel, the first movie of the DCEU, starring Henry Cavill as Superman versus Supergirl, which was an older movie and everything like that. Man of Steel takes the cake. This was to me the best Superman movie because it gave us the origin of Superman. It kind of gave us a true, like, him becoming Superman and having to learn his powers. And, it kind of set the tone of how the DCU was going to be, which was going to be really good until they decided to just not give a fuck anymore.
Pretty much.
But man, Henry Cavill is the best Superman. Just everything about this movie was so well done. And Supergirl, I love the Supergirl character. I love the show Supergirl with Melissa Benoist on the CW and everything like that. And I loved a lot of different adaptations of Supergirl through like the animated movies and cartoons and like that. But as of this movie, never seen, but I've heard not good reviews about it. Man of Steel takes it.
Yeah, Man of Steel takes it. Henry Cavill, great choice. Great choice for Superman. The look, the attitude, he's a Clark Kent. He's our Clark Kent. He's got that both serious side, but also that nerdy side as well. For his alter ego when he's working at the Daily, I almost said Daily Bugle, but it's Daily Planet.
You get those. It's easy to get those mixed up. It's literally just one word that's different. So.
Oh right. Well, we have to have Spider-Man. Has to work at a report. We have to have Superman that works as a reporter. But
exactly.
Anyway, yeah. Man of Steel, great movie. Zod, a character that is now really well known as a main villain for Superman. I'm glad they actually introduced him first instead of doing like a Lex Luthor kind of deal first and bringing him in later. So that was good to see Zod. Like you said, great visual movie. I wasn't too fond of Amy Adams though as Lois, but she kind of has grown on me. But I still think they could have got somebody a little bit better for that role. But yeah, Man of Steel.
All right, next matchup. So I guess we got to solidify. We solidified with Justice League. Is for this movie, did we talk about the Suicide Squad movie or did we talk about the first Suicide Squad?
I almost want to say you got to go with the first one because that's what a lot of these are.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. So now the matchup is Superman 2, the second Superman movie of the Christopher Reeves movie, versus Suicide Squad, the original Suicide Squad movie. I'm going to go Superman 2. That was a much better movie than Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was really... The second movie was a lot better. This one had a lot of... It wasn't a good story, not a good villain, and it wasn't funny. I think Jared Leto's Joker killed it in the sense of like his performance was really bad. Margot Robbie is the only character in this movie that I think actually gave it a lot of hope. I think Will Smith's character was also very bland. But with Superman 2, it was a movie, again, it introduced General Zod and his minions, and it was a great story and everything like that. It was Superman kind of changing his ways, not wanting to be Superman. And it was very good sequel to the first one. Again, it introduced a little bit more of the Superman world with Gerald Zod, and so now he's fighting Kryptonians. Very cool moments. I still got to give it to Superman 2 on this one.
Again, like I said, I've never seen the Superman movie, so I almost kind of got to go with Suicide Squad, but like you said, it really wasn't all that great of a movie, so I'm not going to say don't even bother spinning. We're just going to go with Superman 2.
Okay, so Superman 2 moves on. Next one we have up is Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves. For those who don't know who Constantine is a, you could say, wizard. He's a sorcerer.
Yeah, he's like the Doctor Strange equivalent.
So he deals a lot with the dark arts and everything like that. Versus Batman v Superman. So this was the sequel to Man of Steel in the DCU, starring Henry Cavill as Batman or as Superman, and then we're introduced to our new Batman of Ben Affleck as well as Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I am not a fan of Constantine. My pick is Batman v Superman, especially if you watch the unrated edition. It's actually so much better. Yes, it's multiple different storylines rolled into one. I think they could have done it without the Doomsday part. However, it did lead up to Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's a great movie. It is kind of what you expected, and what a great fight between Batman and Superman. That was such a well done fight scene. There are flaws to this movie. Yes, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor is very, very bad, but there's so far few flaws in that movie that I can look past because the movie itself is so good.
Yeah, agreed. I never saw the Constantine with Keanu Reeves. I only heard some about it. I didn't even know Constantine back then was actually a DC character. I just thought he was just some other made up character, kind of like what Hancock is.
Kind of an indie comics character.
That's who I thought it was. But Batman versus Superman, they had to kind of do this at one point. Give us that Batman versus Superman thing, kind of like that Justice League Doom in a way. Or anything that's like where Batman and Superman have had that disagreement and finally it gets to that boiling point. But I mean, this wasn't because of that. This was because Superman was given a no win-win situation where he had to kill Batman in order to save his mother, and it was just
Well, the reason why they made this movie was because they made it the same year as Civil War and MCU. This is where DC failed at. They rushed everything. There should have been more. They were trying to play
catch up.
They should have built it up more and everything like that. But that's a different story and everything like that. Last matchup of the DCU, we have Wonder Woman 1, starring Gal Gadot, versus Return of the Swamp Thing. Again, I'm not a fan of Swamp Thing as a character and everything like that. Nor did I ever see this movie. But Wonder Woman 1 is a really good movie, and a really good Wonder Woman movie. Introduces kind of her backstory and how she became Wonder Woman, and kind of the little more in depth of her power and the Amazon women and everything like that. So, and I truly think there's no one else that can play Wonder Woman better than Gal Gadot. So Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman takes the cake.
Wonder Woman.
Yep. Yeah. She wins it.
He does. Like I said, I've never seen the Swamp Thing one, and so
yeah,
great job by her. By the way, great movie. All that, just perfect Wonder Woman. I mean, obviously Linda Carter started it all for Wonder Woman, and Gal Gadot was perfect one to take on that mantle.
Exactly. Moving on to the next part of the DC, kind of DC and Marvel, because there's some Marvel in here. We're gonna start with The Dark Knight. This what?
Because she's what it's against.
Oh, I know. I'm not even gonna mention who they're facing. Catwoman starring Halle Berry. There's no question. The Dark Knight wins this. It's the second movie of the Christopher Nolan Batman series. Million miles away in between are those two movies.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll save my talk about The Dark Knight later because I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna defend it later on because this is my pick. One of my picks to go to the championship is The Dark Knight. It's one of the best movies. Next movie, we have Batman Forever, the third installment of the Batman movies. The Val Kilmer Batman-led movie starring Val Kilmer as Batman, Jim Carrey as the Riddler, Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. We have Nicole Kidman as Dr. Chase Meridian.
Chris O'Donnell
as Robin. We have a Marvel movie with Daredevil starring Ben Affleck as Matt Murdock, Daredevil. We have Jennifer Gardner as Elektra Natchios, and we have Colin Farrell as Bullseye, with Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin himself. Very two similar movies because they have very dark tones in them. However, I grew up with Batman Forever. and Jim Carrey. And I'm going to say this: I was not a fan of Val Kilmer's performance. He's very, very bland as
Yes.
Batman.
Yes.
But Jim Carrey's performance alone carries this movie ahead over Daredevil for me.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. The Daredevil, I just don't know because of the story that they did, or they just moved it on too quickly. But it just was not a good introduction to Daredevil.
It wasn't. Honestly, if you want to know more about Daredevil, watch the Netflix Daredevil show on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I'd rather you watch that or watch some animated one. But yeah, Batman Forever, even though it wasn't one of the best Batman movies made, like you said, Jim Carrey in there is great. Tommy Lee Jones is alright, even though I don't care for his movie.
He moved Wonder Woman moved.
Wonder Woman did that again.
Yep.
Yeah, that's weird. Bitch. That's weird. Alright, let me fix this real quick. If you want to talk about the next one, go ahead.
So the next movie we have matchup is Batman Returns, the second installment of the Michael Keaton Batman saga, starring Michael Keaton as Batman, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, Danny DeVito as Penguin, and other characters such as Christopher Walken as my God, I just watched this movie and I totally forgot who his character is. Max Schreck, excuse me.
Yeah.
Versus Blade Trinity, starring Wesley Snipes as Blade. I think this one has Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel in it as well.
Also has Triple H.
Is it really?
Yep, Trinity's the one that he appeared in.
Okay. I've never fully watched all the Blade movies. But I'm going to still, no matter what, I would still pick Batman Returns. It's a great movie. Though it's darker and people think that it's too dark of a movie, that's what Batman is and like that. But it's such a great, great storyline. You know, you're kind of learning the history of Catwoman, how she became to be, as well as the Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot. Yeah. And Michael Keaton's Batman delivers on almost every line in there. He's a great Batman. This is a time when action wasn't big in superhero movies, but he performed very well, and he kind of gave you that good. He was a threatening Batman, and it was a wonderful story.
Intimidating looking Batman.
It was, and the cast really played well together. So Batman Returns moves on for me.
Agreed. Same thing here. I never saw pretty much. I say maybe the first Blade movie, but yeah, I've not seen any of the other ones, so I can't comment on that. So Batman Returns. Moving on.
Okay, next matchup, we have a Batman face-off. We have The Dark Knight Rises, third installment of the Christopher Nolan series, versus Batman and Robin, the fourth installment of the original Batman saga. This one starring George Clooney as Batman, Chris O'Donnell returning as Robin. We have Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, and I will say that the puns alone eliminate Batman and Robin.
He's gonna do.
Puns alone eliminate. Oh, and Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. Barbara Gordon.
Oh yeah.
But let me just break this down for you. Just bashing Batman and Robin. The puns alone eliminated itself. The story was terrible. The comic book accuracy was off.
Yeah. They did Freeze so wrong.
Poison Ivy was good because she was very comic accurate.
Yeah.
But it was too much in a short amount of time movie. Now, The Dark Knight Rises is a perfect sequel to the Dark Knight movie. It is a little bit of a step down because Heath Ledger is not in the movie, and Heath Ledger's performance in Dark Knight really takes the cake. But the Dark Knight trilogy was something so beautiful that you saw the start, the fall, and the rise, and him to overcome such a character as Bane. And I know a lot of people will criticize Tom Hardy's Bane because of his voice, or in some aspects, he's not a luchador wrestler.
Yep.
You know,
and he didn't.
But there's many different levels of Bane. What they showed, so he was very strong in this one, but he played on more of Bane's intelligence side, which is kind of very much overlooked in a lot of aspects of Bane because they see the luchador wrestler, they see the fighter, they see the guy who breaks the bat, which he does in this movie.
He breaks his spirit.
But people forget that Bane is also a very smart villain that proved it in this movie. He was way ahead of everybody. The Dark Knight Rises is a great send off movie too. So they move on.
Yep, same here. All right.
All right, we have Blade, the first Blade movie starring Wesley Snipes versus Ghost Rider, Marvel movie starring Nicolas Cage. I have seen Ghost Rider. I have not seen Blade, but I'm going to get Blade the edge over this one because I know that there was a lot more respect for Blade. It was a great movie and everything like that. Ghost Rider was terrible. It was so fucking terrible. The Ghost Rider character is so awesome, but this movie was just fucking awful. So Blade moves on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Blade too. I don't like I said. I think I've seen that one, but I don't remember much of it. But Wesley Snipes, if I remember, was a great character to play as Blade. But yeah, Ghost Rider, not what I expected. I the way that Nicolas Cage played him, I felt he was too old to actually play Ghost Rider at the time, and the way they did the story was just not great. However, the visuals of Ghost Rider and like his bike and stuff, that was all cool and everything, but Nicolas
That
Cage
can't carry a movie.
but yeah, the whole Johnny Blaze part just was a turn off.
Well, that's who it was. You know, that's the character itself. But again, just like I'm going to say about Avatar movies with James Cameron, your visuals can't carry you worth a shit if your storyline is terrible.
Yeah.
So, next matchup we have 1969 Batman. Sorry,
89.
That 89?
89.
Okay, I can't really see that very well. Okay, that actually changes my pick on this one. 1989 Batman versus Punisher Warzone. And I actually don't like either one of these movies, but I'm gonna go Batman 1989. It's a great movie. It's Michael Keaton's first Batman movie, as well as Jack Nicholson as the Joker. It's a lot better than Warzone. Warzone was bad.
I didn't know there was one called Warzone for the Punisher, so I don't even know who even the lead guy was even that one. So I guess yeah, we can both agree Michael Keaton's Batman is moving on.
Yep. Next matchup we have Blade 2 versus Punisher 2004 with Thomas Jane. I'm gonna go Blade. I'm gonna go Punisher on this one. It was a great movie. It has John Travolta as the bad guy. It was a great intro to Punisher. And yeah, I'm gonna go Punisher.
Yeah, same here. I remember we're actually finally getting around to watching that movie. That was enjoyable, but however, I had just watched the other Punisher play by John Bernthal on the Netflix show. But going back to this, they did some similarity to it, but I can definitely see points of view from both of them. But yeah, I could definitely see the older one was better. It was a good intro to Punisher. Kind of underrated a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, next matchup we have, in the last matchup of the first round, we have Batman Begins, the first installment of the Christopher Nolan movies, versus Marvel's Elektra, sequel to Daredevil starring Jennifer Gardner as Elektra Natchios. That movie was terrible, by the way. Batman Begins, it's a wonderful movie, great intro to the Dark Knight trilogy. It moves on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely hands down, introducing Christian Bale to us with Liam Neeson as Ra's or Ra's al Ghul, however you want to
pronounce it. However you want to pronounce it. Also introduced us to Scarecrow. So one thing about the Batman Begins movie was that we got two characters to start off with villain-wise that we've never seen before, and they did so well.
Yes.
And it introduced it so well to more levels of what villains can be outside of the Joker. And, we'll defend that more with the other movies and everything like that. So moving on, we're going back to the MCU and to our first matchup of the second round. We have Captain America Civil War versus Avengers Age of Ultron. This one's tough, but I'm going to give the edge to Civil War. It's a better movie. The story-wise is good. It had a lot more feelings in it, and it was definitely more of a, everything about it was a lot more than Ultron. Ultron was trying to play
destroy the human race.
Civil War happened because of Ultron, yes, but it was a great follow-up to Ultron to actually see what the outcome of everything and the split and what led to Infinity War. So
yeah, same here with like Ryan said, the emotion that's more in Civil War than it's in Ultron. that the whole entire Avengers group goes through. Plus, also introducing Tom Holland Spider Man as well that we finally get, and yeah,
All right, Civil War moves on. Next matchup. I feel like a coin flip is coming. It is Iron Man 1 versus Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I'm still picking Iron Man.
I'm still going Iron Man too.
Okay, we're gonna go. Iron Man moves on. Iron Man just more of a
more iconic.
It's the Godfather of
Yeah.
the MCU. We wouldn't have the MCU without Iron Man.
Guardians of the Galaxy, great. Like I said, great movie earlier, but I'm sorry, Iron Man leading this whole charge for this whole phase or however you want, series, yeah, however you want to call it.
Exactly.
It's the one that you still want to go back and watch and you enjoy.
Exactly. We are now up to Black Panther versus Captain America Winter Soldier. I am going with Captain America Winter Soldier. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite MCU movies. Nothing against Black Panther 2, but Captain America Winter Soldier just delivers on all levels.
We're gonna actually have to do the coin flip on this one. I really enjoyed Black Panther way more, just visually, stunningly, the story.
Okay.
I mean, it was actually the first one I watched in 4K. Just amazing movie. So yeah, roll it.
All right, we're flipping. We're spinning the wheel. And Winter Soldier again moves on. Twice now, the wheel has been favoring the Winter Soldier movie. All right, next matchup, we have Avengers Infinity War versus Avengers 1. I love both these movies.
Yeah.
But Infinity War, million times better than Avengers 1. And that's not even disrespecting Avengers 1, but that's how good Infinity War is from start to finish. All the different stories you're getting, all the different... It took what Avengers 1 did, where it brought in 6 heroes from multiple different movies and rolled them into one. Now we have the Guardians, we have Thor, we have Spider-Man, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, we have Hulk, we have Captain America, Vision, Scarlet Witch. Everything, Black Panther, everything about it was so good. Avengers 1, amazing, amazing movie, and I love that movie to death.
Yeah.
But Infinity War hit on so many levels, and it fucking wins. It fucking wins.
I mean, obviously, Avengers, you kickstarted this whole thing for us.
Yep.
But yeah, like I said, unfortunately, Age of Ultron underperformed a little bit for us, but then Infinity War picked it back up, and then of course Endgame
led to Endgame.
Endgame was the one that really.
I'm gonna throw this out here right now. If Endgame was in this bracket right now,
in this bracket,
actually in this whole bracket,
you can see
all the
right
movie.
Here. You can see him right here.
No, they're right here. Endgame's right here.
Oh. Okay.
And that's beating out No Way Home and other movies I'm not going to say because they're still in the bracket and everything like that. But Endgame was the perfect movie of the MCU. But it's not in here, so it's going to be pick and fair.
Same thing with, like you said, like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. That could change some stuff up as well.
Yeah.
All right.
So moving on, we have Spider-Man 2 versus X-Men 1. This is a tough matchup because this is literally childhood for both of us. I am giving the edge to Spider-Man 2. It is, again, the best Spider-Man movie we've had to date. Next to Spider-Man No Way Home, but that movie's not in this bracketology right now. But it is the best standalone Spider-Man movie. And I say standalone because really with Spider-Man No Way Home, it's all 3 Spider-Mans. But this is the best Spider-Man movie, solo Spider-Man movie, on so many different levels of the action, the story, and the casting, and all that. So,
yeah, I mean, as much as we enjoyed the introduction to the X-Men with all that great cast, Spider-Man 2, amazing. Like you said, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, playing probably the best villain out of that whole entire series. You could say, yes, Willem Dafoe was the best one, but...
that's a coin flip.
I mean, yeah, that's literally
a coin flip if you want to talk about best villain because they both killed it.
Yeah, and even when they came back, and like you said in No Way Home, they were still like they still acted like they were just they got done with these movies.
Oh,
And
exactly.
they hadn't missed a beat, and Alpha Maria was still in it. Just great story. So yeah, Spider-Man 2.
And the cool thing about it is, again, the difference between and the reason why I say it's a coin flip between Molina and Defoe is thinking about the characters themselves. Doctor Octopus wasn't trying to be evil. He was trying to. He was a scientist that failed at his experiment. He wanted to succeed. And yeah, he went to the evil side, but then he realized his mistakes.
But you gotta remember, he was manipulated too.
Exactly, but he learned he learned what he was doing and realized I have to stop it. Defoe playing the true bad guy. That was, again, you can go back and forth, but again, another thing that one of my favorite action scenes in all superhero movies, the train fight scene on Spider-Man 2, so fucking good.
Right.
All right, next matchup we have X-Men First Class versus X-Men Days of Future Past. So literally the first movie and the sequel movie.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it to the sequel movie, X-Men Futures Past. It's, again, you can't beat the fact that they combined both timelines
I'm
together.
the same way. I mean, yeah, both timelines, so you get to see both, both young and old Charles Xavier.
You get to see Hugh Jackman work with both Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, along with Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy.
Yep.
Moving on, this is a tough matchup. I feel like we're probably going to go for the wheel in this one.
Before we actually move on to this, I want to go back over to this one. Really, I forgot in Spider-Man 3, the other reason that movie wasn't good was Sandman. They didn't do a great job with Sandman in that one.
There was a lot of things you could say wrong with that movie. There's a lot of things you can wrong with Sandman.
All right.
Next matchup, we have Deadpool versus Spider-Man 1, the first Tobey Maguire movie. I absolutely love Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. But Spider-Man was my childhood. Spider-Man 1, I watched it so many times. I first watched it in theater, and when I got it on DVD, I watched it almost every week. I can go back and watch the movie now. I went out to make sure I bought the trilogy. I actually have all the Spider-Man movies on Blu-ray, and it still holds up to this day. Spider-Man 1 is a classic for me, and I can't pick against it.
I mean, you can go either way with either two, but you got to give the edge to Spider-Man.
Exactly.
You got it. That's that pretty much that kicked it off for all these guys. That's what led to this No Way Home movie where you get to see all these guys come together.
Yep.
By the way, like I said, no disrespect to Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds in that movie. Great movie, funny as hell. Great introduction to Deadpool. But yeah,
another reason why I'm gonna pick Spider-Man over Deadpool is because all characters are memorable in Spider-Man. Ryan Reynolds is the only memorable person in Deadpool.
Pretty much, yeah, because Colossus is just pretty bland.
Pretty bland. A lot of people might not know who the villain is.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Warhead chick, just like, what the fuck are you?
I mean, yeah, that's how bad you don't know the character, because that was a totally wrong name for the character.
Supersonic,
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even know who the villain is. So
yeah, Ajax.
Yeah. So next matchup. Next matchup. There's no. I don't think there's a matchup in here.
Oh no,
it's Logan versus X-Men 2. Logan takes it.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Logan takes it. All right, we're gonna go back to the DC side now. Starting with Superman 1, Christopher Reeves versus Justice League, Zack Snyder's edition. This is no competition. Zack Snyder's Justice League was the perfect Justice League we ever movie had. I can live without Ezra Miller's Flash in multiple different reasons. But also, I'm not a fan of the Cyborg, but again, the story with Darkseid and everything was so well done, it beats out Superman.
Yeah, like I said, I've never seen the Superman, but I love the Zack Snyder Stark when we got to watch it. Oh,
yeah.
Moving on.
Next one, we have Superman Returns versus Green Lantern. Superman Returns takes this one because though Green Lantern made it past the first round, let's be real on this. It was a bad movie.
It was a bad movie.
It was a terrible movie with terrible CGI. And Superman Returns has a respectful thing. So that is moving on. Next matchup, we have Man of Steel versus Superman 2. Kelly can agree with me because he's never seen the other ones, but I'm going to pick it as well. Man of Steel moves on as the perfect
Yeah,
Superman movie.
I think so as well because, like I said, I've never seen the other ones, but I enjoy Man of Steel as I said earlier.
It's the perfect Superman movie.
And I'm actually glad they just went Man of Steel. They didn't call it Superman, anything or just regular Superman. They went Man of Steel, his nickname. Which,
yep. All right, next matchup we have Batman v Superman versus Wonder Woman. I am giving the edge to Batman v Superman only because the one downside about Wonder Woman, though it's a good movie, it's a very long movie. And there's a lot of parts that you kind of fall off with. But I love the character of Wonder Woman. I love her in anything she's done as Wonder Woman and all her different projects. But I got to give the slight edge to Batman v Superman because it set up Justice League very well.
Yeah, I think I would have to go along with that too. Like I said, I enjoyed Wonder Woman. I thought it was really great, but the whole obsessions with her having to go after Ares, like she literally had this obsession that she had to stop him and find him, and because he was, causing all the war that she didn't even know that was even going on outside of the Ministeria, and that that was her sworn duty. But
It was
yeah,
kind of a letdown though.
it was a little bit. I thought she could have done something better.
Well, the Ares is not a bad pick. It's who they picked to play Ares was bad.
Yeah, I mean, what is his name? I love him as an actor. Played for us or Lupin and in the Harry Potter series. He's also played in. If you've never seen it too, Dinotopia, great movie as well. If you ever get a chance, plays a great role in that one as well. But yeah, it could have been somebody a bit better for that role as Ares.
Exactly. So Batman v Superman moves on.
All right, that finishes up the DCU bracket.
Moving on, we have not even a close matchup here. It's the Dark Knight versus Batman Forever. Dark Knight moves on.
Do we need to say more?
I'll say more when we get into a matchup where the Dark Knight needs to defend themselves.
Right.
Next matchup, we have Batman Returns versus the Dark Knight Rises. This one's hard for me. Because we're talking the Batman Returns was the very first Batman movie I ever watched. I remember watching it every Christmas. I watched it every time I went to my grandma's house. But The Dark Knight Rises is such a great closing movie and everything like that. However, the Batman Returns moves on for me.
We're gonna have to flip this one because it's that hard for me. Because
it's so hard for me too. Because I was so. At first, I was leaning towards the Dark Knight Rises.
By the way, I'm not telling that we have to do it because of this. I'm going with the Dark Knight Rises because I enjoyed that one as well. Great follow up to the Dark Knight series.
I feel like this one deserves it anyways because, again, for me, I was leaning towards Dark Knight Rises, but then as I was saying stuff, I was like realizing how much Batman Returns meant to me. So we'll spin.
Let fate decide. Oh,
Batman Returns moves on
by a sliver.
All right, next matchup we have Batman 1989 going against Blade. I'm giving the edge to Blade. I think it was a better movie than Batman 1989.
I can't say because I don't. Like I said, I think I only saw bits and pieces of Blade, but I have seen all the original Batman movie, so we're gonna have to do a spinner here.
All right. Blade moves on. All right. Next matchup, we have Punisher versus Batman Begins. I think Batman Begins.
Yeah,
beats out Punisher.
It does. It does.
Okay. Moving on back up to our semi-final matchups of the brackets, we have Civil War versus Iron Man 1. Iron Man 1, I defended you so much in this, and I loved you and everything like that, but Civil War was a much better story, and it was... We wouldn't be here without what you started and everything like that, and I can go back and watch you and be enjoyable, but the meaningful of the storiness, the acting, the performances by all the actors and everything like that, Civil War takes the...
I'm going to have to roll with Iron Man.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry. I enjoyed Iron Man very much. That I think I like it better.
Nothing wrong with that.
So
spinning the wheel.
God damn it!
And Civil War moves on.
I'm not getting no love from the spin. But hey, I mean, letting fate decide.
Letting fate decide, indeed. Kelly is watching as the spin goes, so I'm not. And he sees that both our names are on here.
I'm seeing it too. It just, oh man.
Next matchup, we have Captain America Winter Soldier versus Avengers Infinity War. I love Captain America Winter Soldier so much. But Infinity War I love a lot more. Infinity War moves on.
Yeah.
This is one of the best MCU movies to date. Yeah,
this one I will agree on. Definitely because, like I said, Captain America Winter Soldier, I thought was really great, but
what was up here?
All right. Anyway.
Infinity War moves on.
Technical difficulty. All right. I have no idea why it's doing that sometimes.
All right, next matchup in the semifinals of the Marvel Studios bracket, we have Spider-Man 2 versus X-Men Days of Futures Past. I'm going to let you go first, Cal.
I'm going to roll with Spider-Man 2. Like we said, pretty much the best one out of that whole series. Days of Futures Past was a great follow-up, especially that whole X-Men series and everything. But I got to roll with the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 2 moves on. That was going to be my pick, too. All right, next matchup, and this one is hard.
Folks. So, if you want, I'll go first again. I'll go Logan. I enjoyed Logan so much, and that actually did bring me more to tears. It was so emotional to me, especially growing up more as an X-Men fan than more of a Spider-Man fan. So, it's Logan for me.
It's Logan for me as well. I was actually going to pick Logan.
Wow.
See, the thing is, though, is again, I love Spider-Man 1, but Spider-Man 2 was better.
Okay.
Logan, though, comparing the two movies, story, performance, everything about it was so good. And it's the story of introduction versus farewell.
Yes.
And the farewell story was so well done that it beats out the introduction movie.
Gotcha.
Because the problem is with the introduction movie, the sequel also beats you out, in my opinion. So comparing, it's like, well, is Spider-Man 2, if I think Spider-Man 2 is better than Spider-Man, but do I really think Spider-Man is better than Logan? No. Because we grew up with Logan, because we watched him in 2000 when it first came out, to when Logan came out, like the timeline, we never thought of anyone else as Wolverine than Hugh Jackman. I still can't think of anyone else better as Wolverine than Hugh Jackman. And it's a performance that was just so it drew so much emotion that it can't be beat. Next matchup, we have Zack Snyder's Justice League versus Superman Returns. Justice League moves on.
Yeah.
Justice League moves on.
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
If you haven't watched Zack Snyder's Justice League, yes, it is a 4-hour movie, but it's so well done. And it's so honestly true to what the Justice League cartoons were like back in the day on Cartoon Network that it really lives up to that factor. Next matchup, we have original versus sequel. We have Man of Steel versus Batman v Superman. I'm going with Man of Steel because Batman v Superman does not exist without Man of Steel. It's a better whole story, Man of Steel was, than Batman v Superman because it was one story compared to multiple. General Zod, played by Michael Shannon, I think that was his name is, versus Jesse Eisenberg, and then Doomsday was so badly portrayed. And honestly, I was saving it for this argument. The Martha scene was so fucking unnecessarily stupid it disqualifies you in this matchup.
You're disqualified.
So Man of Steel moves on.
Yep.
Next matchup, we have kind of in this last bracket, we see that we have 3 Batman movies.
Jesus.
We have The Dark Knight versus Batman Returns. Again, I grew up with Batman Returns. However, The Dark Knight is literally the best Batman movie to date. It trumps every Batman movie. It trumps every DC movie. The Dark Knight moves on.
Yep. I'm in agreement as well. So well done.
So well done.
And I've said this many times. It's actually a movie that I believe that the Joker, played by Heath Ledger, was more captivating than Christian Bale as Batman.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that was that movie that people actually enjoyed watching the Joker more than actually the Batman.
Absolutely. Next matchup, we have Blade versus Batman Begins, the first Christopher Nolan Batman movie. I'm picking Batman Begins to move on.
I am as well, because like I said, I don't remember much about Blade, even though, like I said, much respect to Blade and how it started.
We wouldn't have The Dark Knight without Batman Begins. So exactly. Batman Begins moves on. We now go to our championship match of the MCU, Civil War versus Avengers Infinity War. You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I can go ahead and go first. I'm gonna go roll with Infinity War myself. Especially that was the point that it was the lead up to what we get an Endgame. Seeing people. Yeah, it's hard to really describe how I feel about it. More than I do Civil War. Like I said, Civil War was something. I think we were gonna get eventually, but I think Infinity War was way more powerful of a movie than Civil War was. That's the
Absolutely.
best way. That's the best way I can describe it.
Absolutely, and I agree with all those statements. Infinity War is one of the best MCU movies, and it wins the MCU bracket. I agree with you. Infinity War moves on to the Final Four. Next matchup. Can we go ahead and get the spinner out now?
I'm rolling Logan if you're going Spider-Man too.
This is so hard. I want to go with the spinner because you can't.
We're going to have to let fate decide this.
We're going to let fate decide because going back through Spider-Man 2, best Spider-Man movie we've had outside of No Way Home, but it's the best Spider-Man movie we had of Tobey Maguire. The storyline was so true to the Spider-Man story where he doesn't want to be Spider-Man. He's contemplating that in his head. You have the tragic story of watching his love MJ go to another man. You have J. Jonah Jameson in his ear all the time. Peter's fighting, going to college, trying to stay up on his rent, trying to fight that his best friend hates. He loves Peter as a brother, but hates his alter ego Spider-Man for thinking that he killed his father. Willem Dafoe as a bad guy, but also realizing that he's being manipulated and he doesn't actually want to be bad. Then you have Logan, which is a swan song of a movie to the Hugh Jackman storyline. It was based a little bit on Old Man Logan. There's a different variations of everything like that. But it's our first true Old Man Logan story. It was also rated R. We saw the death of both Charles Xavier and Logan in those movies, and the perfect send off to this movie. It's so hard to choose that I think we have to go with fate on this one. Kelly is going with Logan. I'm going with Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 moves on.
I think your thing needs to update because, man, it's just picking you every time.
Oh, shut up. Shut up.
That's where I'm going with this. But no,
you think this is rigged? Fuck off. First of all, this thing favored you when it was X-Men
right
versus the Batman animated universe.
This is the makeup,
All right.
No disrespect, of course. I mean, like you said, we had to do it that way. I think that's
you had to. I will say, it's hard. That was so hard because I didn't want to go against Logan because Logan was such a beautiful movie, but so was Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Hard to go off of that. Next matchup, we have Justice League Zack Snyder versus Man of Steel Superman. Man of Steel Superman.
I'm rolling JL.
Nothing wrong with either one of those. I think just Superman is this is the perfect Superman movie. And there are some flaws with Justice League. First and foremost, I can now say it. Fuck you, Ezra Miller. So, Justice League, Man of Steel. And we finally got one.
Yeah.
Justice League moves on.
Yeah.
All right, to our final DC matchup, and going into the final four, we have The Dark Knight versus Batman Begins. I said it in the last round, we don't have The Dark Knight without Batman Begins, but The Dark Knight literally spat on the Batman Begins movie and made such a beautiful masterpiece. The Dark Knight moves on.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna disagree with you whatsoever in that. Favorite movie out of that whole trilogy.
Exactly.
So.
All right, first match of the Final Four, we have Marvel versus DC. Representing Marvel, we have Avengers Infinity War versus Spider-Man 2.
Put the video guys up so you guys can see it here a little bit better.
So okay. What's funny is I have defended Spider-Man 2 through this whole thing, but it does not stand a chance against Avengers Infinity War. That is one of the best superhero movies that have came out. Avengers Infinity War, as Kelly puts down, because he just typed it in. He's probably a little bitter because Spider-Man 2 beat out Logan.
I am a little bit bitter. I admit it. I am a little bit bitter.
Hey man, don't blame me. Blame the wheel. But
I know.
Infinity War was a lot better than Spider-Man 2. So Infinity War moves on. Next matchup, we have Justice League versus The Dark Knight. Again, we have one superhero versus a team of superheroes. Last time, the team of superheroes won. This time, though, I don't feel it's the same case. I think The Dark Knight is a lot better than Zack Snyder's Justice.
I'm in total agreement with that. Otherwise, we're literally having the Avengers versus the Justice League matchup. It's not even because of that, even really, but just the Dark Knight story being literally dark. It was a great dark movie of Batman and Joker that I think we just needed to see finally.
Exactly. Unfortunately, I know that we were kind of looking like it was going to be Avengers versus Justice League. We could have had Spider-Man versus Batman, but in reality, Infinity War of this bracket is the best Marvel movie. The Dark Knight is the best DC movie. Now we got to compare. Now we got to fight. Now they have to fight it out for the winner of the best superhero movie. We have representing Marvel, Avengers Infinity War. Representing DC, we have The Dark Knight. This is very, very tough match. So a little bit more on The Dark Knight, because we talked a lot about the Avengers Infinity War. We have not talked a lot about The Dark Knight. Dark Knight starring Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne Batman. Heath Ledger as the Joker. May he rest in peace. We are also having... we have Maggie Gyllenhaal as Rachel...
Michael Caine as Alfred.
We have
Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon.
Yep. We have oh my god, I can't remember his name. But we have an introduction to Harvey Dent. Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. This one's very tough because actually, you know what? I have a winner. I do have a winner.
I've already picked mine.
So, I'm going to say this. I am more of a Marvel fan than DC. But I'm going to base it off of realism of the movie. Infinity War, we had to wait for a setup for all this to happen. And it was a great movie. But in its series, it was outdone by Avengers Endgame. In the DC world, there hasn't been a DC movie to dethrone the Dark Knight movie, and it is still one of the very best superhero movies to date, in my opinion, because the performance, all the characters, the story, the outcome, knowing that even though Batman captured Joker actually won.
Yeah.
He actually called out Batman for his flaws. Avengers Infinity War was a great movie. We had the unfortunate, Snap happened, wiped out half the universe and all the heroes and everything like that. What a beautiful, beautiful movie. It brought you to tears. But The Dark Knight, I have seen so many times, and it still leaves me in suspense. It's still such a beautiful story, and you forget it's actually a Batman movie at times because of how intense it is. My winner is The Dark Knight.
Right. I'm also more Marvel than DC as well. Um, Avengers, Infinity War, yes, being the lead up to Endgame, set that all up. You kept us in suspense. You know, with Thanos, what is he really gonna do? Is he actually gonna get all the stones? When the snap does happen, who's really going? Like, who were losing? I mean, they were at the point where they had Vegas, putting bets on like all the people who were getting snapped and that, all that stuff. But I can go back to The Dark Knight and rewatch that all the time and enjoy it every time. Beautifully made movie, great cast of people. Heath Ledger's Joker, amazing job. Where we get to see the more anarchy Joker more than the whole clown prince of crime. Playing jokes and playing games. Just it's the Dark Knight. It is the Dark Knight out of this whole bracket.
It is, and it could have been different if Endgame was involved, or No Way Home, or even Logan. If Logan surpassed, it could have been a better matchup. I know Kelly's very bitter about that, but we'll get to it later.
It is what it is.
But I don't think there's any. I still think even if it was Logan, I will not lie, I still would have picked Dark Knight. It was so well done, and
Making me want to go watch it right now.
exactly. But I will not watch it without watching Batman Begins first because I do it. That's how
That's actually serious. You have to watch it in order.
You do.
I can't. Yeah, I'm the same way. If I'm gonna watch the Dark, it's like shoot, I gotta watch Batman Begins first, just because it'll lead up to that, and then yeah.
And then I got to make sure I watch The Dark Knight Rises, or else I feel incomplete. But I don't think I'm matched. There's not a disappointment in this one because the thing is that you're also true. It's superhero versus superheroes.
Yes.
And both movies are very similar because the villains actually won. They both had different views on their anarchy, where Thanos was more.
Great point. Great point.
Thanos was more wanting to better the universe by wiping out half of them. But my flaw with that is you wiped out the universe to go sit on a fucking farm, asshole. But The Dark Knight, like, we saw the true version of the Joker that is never going to be replaced. And again, a Joker needs his Batman, and I honestly think next to Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, Christian Bale and Heath Ledger were the perfect combination as Batman and Joker.
Agreed.
I don't have faith in whoever the new Joker is, and Robert Pattinson. Ben Affleck, Jared Leto was going to be terrible. Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, in my mind, didn't work out. Christian Bale and Heath Ledger really did, and all the times that they were together, you have the interrogation scene, that was so beautifully done, where it showed true Batman Joker relationships.
Yeah,
it showed, and he called it out, saying, "You will never kill me because you need me,
because of your code too."
And he realized that all Batman had to do was take off his mask, and Joker would have stopped the anarchy. Batman, he didn't. And he could say, well, he did it because he knew that Joker was lying. You never know. But that was the Joker's motive, was to take out Batman, proving that he is very selfish in his own ways.
He wanted to break him more spiritually than he wanted to do either physically or even mentally.
Oh, exactly. Well, thinking like what it led to the Dark Knight Rises, where Batman was in hiding for 7 years because he felt the Joker got to him.
Yeah, well, even like in that scene, he has to choose either between Rachel or Harvey Dent. Well, do you save the woman that you love and that you're really gonna put down? You're gonna give it the cowl to down to be with her, or do you save the guy that literally helped you put all the crime away that you don't have to worry about,
Mhm.
anymore. And that's what he did. He made him make the ultimate decision, which ended up tricking him anyways.
Yeah, that was the thing. Is
So-
that and that's what that was the great thing is that he tricked him anyways because Batman intentionally went after Rachel.
He was gonna hurt him no matter what.
Yeah,
So-
he intentionally went after Rachel, and ultimately he saved Harvey, which led to Two-Face, and then Rachel died, which again broke him. And to make him, it's just a beautifully well done movie. And again, the casting wise, I love all the Avengers casting. But if you look at the casting of The Dark Knight, from Alfred to Bruce to Joker to Rachel to Lucius to Harvey to the shitbag, person who was going to out Batman when he wanted $1 million a year, tweeb looking motherfucker, to all the gang members that were going after the Joker. Like, oh my god, the casting was so well done. And Christopher Nolan made such an amazing movie. And again, it was a battle between one hero to a group of heroes. I'm sorry. And I love Marvel, and I will always be a Marvel fan over DC. But I have always loved the Dark Knight movie, and Kelly as well. Dark Knight is our winner of Best Live Action Superhero Movie. Obviously, I know a lot of people might think it's a little difficult to read because obviously we didn't have all up-to-date movies. That's a lot. You can replace any of these movies with those movies, but again, I don't think the outcome changes. Dark Knight makes it in for DC.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to take out like the Swamp King stuff and probably even like that one Punisher movie and even maybe, well, yeah, we could have definitely plugged some.
But it's a lot more Marvel than DC anyways, but
Well, like
still.
you said, yeah, there's more Marvel than there is DC.
Yeah.
Otherwise, DC would have to like dug into like its animated movie, try to help it out.
But I still think that there's no question that Dark Knight would have made it to the finals.
Yeah,
And
that was actually one of the first ones I saw right away, and I'm like, that's gonna make it to the finals.
I knew my whole mindset in this whole draft was that movie was going to the finals.
Over, like, even on our bracket, I'm like, okay, one of the Avenger movies is gonna make it, or it's gonna be either Iron Man or Captain America.
Yep.
And then I was definitely thinking Spider-Man was gonna make it down here in the Mutant Spider-Verse down here. The DCU one was, I actually, yeah, especially when we changed to the Zack Snyder Justice League, I'm like, yeah, I mean, that one's gonna make. I wouldn't have been surprised though if Batman versus Superman actually made it.
My pick out of that was Man of Steel. I just think it was
Yeah.
But regardless of the fact, this was a fun bracket, you guys. We have more coming your way as we figure out all the different ones. Congratulations to The Dark Knight being voted the Big Fat Dubs best live action superhero movie of this bracket that was made. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you guys agree with our picks, disagree. Remember, some of these picks were made by the fate of the wheel. So not necessarily do we truly think that. It's very hard, and you guys see the matchups with Logan versus Spider-Man 2, stuff like that. It's hard because there are some matchups that you can honestly see. Let us know what you guys think. Let us hear your opinions about that. And if you guys have ideas of what we should do for brackets, let us know. Other than that, that's it. Stay tuned for more videos to come out. Monday, we will have a new episode of Mario Monday.
So you should have already have seen that before watching this because this will be out on a Tuesday.
Yep. And we'll see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Remember to like, subscribe, punch that notification bell. And Kelly, you want to got anything before we sign out?
No, this was very fun. We're definitely going to be looking at more of these coming along, like Star Wars, Harry Potter.
Yep.
All of the pretty much the big franchises.
Absolutely.
And breaking those down as well. So look forward to those. And as always, we'll have stuff here coming for you guys. So yeah.
All right, we're setting you out with the normal comment, and send them home to mommy.